Strip Club Video with Danny Meyers, Dane Hansen, and Jarrell starts now.
Hey, welcome back to another episode, Strip Club Video. Danny Meyers, Jarrell, and Dane Hansen. You're on the road. Where are you at?
Nashville, Tennessee.
Uh-oh. Nashville, Tennessee. Got a smoke shop behind you and everything, man. You're in a good place. Happy 420 as we record. There we go. We flipped him.
Look at that.
God, he's getting
That's
dizzy.
because of the smoke. That's because of the smoke shop behind me. We got a little lost there.
I like that. So, crazy show today. Here's what we want to know. Well, first of all, let me introduce Dane Hansen is general manager of Pony 2 in Huntsville. And Dane also has been a DJ and a manager. You've DJ'd in Las Vegas and in, West Palm and up in, was it Arlington,
Virginia, and I've Atlanta, Georgia, and a little bit all over the place.
Okay, very cool. And Jarrell's up here, currently DJ at Pony Bama. But where else have you DJ'd at?
Colorado, Texas, Los Angeles, Southern New York, all over the place.
Yeah, I've DJ'd in Ohio, Dayton, Ohio. That's it. So here's
That's why you're still a Buckeye fan.
That's it. Actually, a UC fan more. But so here's the topic of today. This is a topic that I've done a show on before with my opinion, but I've never really asked other people. So I want to get other opinions on this. What makes a damn good DJ? And I mean, there's you can get a million answers to that, but we're going to break this down to the entertainer. What she thinks a damn good DJ is, what a manager thinks a damn good DJ is, and what the customer would think. And then we'll try to put it all together. Let's start off with the entertainer. Dane, if you were to ask the average entertainer, what makes a good DJ? What makes him the best DJ ever? What are they going to tell you?
He plays my music.
Exactly. And that's really about it. Right?
Yeah, I mean, there's maybe he makes me money. But I mean, most of the time it's all about he plays my music. And I mean, there's nothing else to it anymore. If he doesn't play your music, he sucks, period. That's it.
Yeah. Let me go to Jeb on that same question.
Well, that would have been my answer before Show Club. But, Show Club kind of changed the world where I don't really get to pick a lot of the music. The girls kind of have their own folders. So I've had to find new ways to become appreciated, actually catering to the entertainer with everything but music. That's the one thing I can't cater to. So, finding a way to make them feel special, pay attention to them, listen to them when you need it, help them out in their rotation. That's probably what they would say makes a good DJ rather than just the music.
Yeah. And I'm going to agree with that. That and, he puts me in rotation where I want to be or doesn't put me up when I don't want to be are the only things I'd add to that.
Yep.
Now let's take it from the crowd. This is always a good one. Your average customer. I mean, do you think they pay attention to the DJ consciously, subconsciously? What do you think a customer looks for in a DJ and what do they not want in a DJ? And I'll go to Jeb first.
Well, there's a couple of types of customers there. The customer that pays attention to the DJ has more opinions about this. The customer that doesn't pay attention to the DJ doesn't want us to even get in his field of view. And it doesn't want us to be intrusive, doesn't want us to speak a lot. It doesn't want any interaction, just wants to put the girl up, put it down. The customer that's into the DJ, as part of the show, they love the interaction. If you can make them feel special, their name and give them a shout out, play their favorite song, play their girlfriend's favorite song or their group song. Those customers really love and appreciate that part of that aspect of the DJ. So it just depends on which the customer base is.
Mm-hmm. Dane, your thoughts?
I agree with that pretty much. I mean, it depends on where you're at too. In Vegas, it was more the music. It was say less and play better music. In different markets, it's different things. The connection with the crowd, though, in the smaller markets, especially in this area, as Jeb can attest to, man, is huge. If they connect with that DJ, he's a superstar in that area, man. And they really, excuse the motorcycle, they really get into that. They really enjoy, like you said, that notoriety, getting that notoriety from the DJ, acknowledgement that they know his name and they know what music he likes. So he brings his friends in and always wants that little push so he can show off to his friends. So, I mean, it is reading your room, definitely play into your room. And like Vegas is a different animal. So I would say most places are more similar to the way Jeb explained it. I think that's probably right on spot on there.
Okay. And now let's take, I'm going to put manager and owner in the same category because I believe they're always looking for the same thing from the DJ. Dane, what do you think a manager or a DJ would say? What makes a damn good DJ? A manager or owner?
Reliability. Don't fuck the girls. Don't complain. I mean, top 3 right there. I would say probably if you can do those 3 things, man, and make yourself useful. Don't be lazy. I think there's very few things that you need to do if you're a DJ other than go to work and do your fucking job. I mean, it's pretty cut and dry. There's not a whole lot other than that. I mean, you know what you're supposed to do. You know what you're not to do. It's not like there's a whole lot of gray area. I mean, really, there's not. You play the music and you interact with the crowd and show up.
Yeah.
It's not a tough job. It really isn't. If you break it down, it's really not that difficult. Now, granted, the hours suck. You got to deal with a lot of 900 different personalities. All those things, yeah, I get all that. And I'm not downplaying the fact that it's a pain in the ass. But when it comes down to it, if you want to go do some manual labor or be a DJ, there's really, you got a pretty easy gig. So take it for what it is. You're not reinventing the wheel. Go to work, do exactly what you're supposed to do, what you're asked to do, and then work for who you get paid for, not paid by,
Jeb, what would you like to add to that?
The Advil, not a headache. That's pretty much one sentence encompassed everything he just said there. But really, a professional DJ is a fireman. You put out as many fires as you possibly can while minimizing the potential of any other flare-ups. And the better you can do that while still hiding the fact that there's anything possibly wrong in the club, the customer never knows. You do that all at the same time, then managers and owners will love you to death.
Yeah. I always figure it's kind of like being an air traffic controller.
Directing that traffic.
Yeah, that nobody ever sees and nobody needs to see. The customers, they do not need to know about the problems that are going on. They don't need to know that girl that just ran off a stage and ran into the back just started her period. She doesn't need, the customer doesn't need to know how many fires you're putting out. It would be like as an air traffic controller. You fly somewhere, you land somewhere, they welcome you. You don't know that maybe, there was a plane that was maybe within a quarter mile of your plane that just passed that wasn't supposed to be there, that the air traffic controller fixed that and the pilot fixed that. And they all know that. But the customer doesn't need to know that. And it's the same as being on an airplane. You don't need to know that you almost died.
There's always that one customer, though, like we're talking about, that likes the DJ, that notices everything and runs up to you and goes, what was that? What was that? There's always somebody that notices in there.
Yeah.
There's another way it's explained, besides the air traffic controller. I've heard the fact that, the DJ is kind of the quarterback of the club. And, which if the manager's the head coach, if you look at it in a sporting aspect, that's kind of the way that it works. Mm-hmm. And if you got a quarterback that keeps fumbling the damn ball or throwing interceptions all night, you're going to have a hard time getting your job done. So basically, he's your floor general, your floor manager, your conduit that makes from where the connection from the customers and the girls to that money and how it's spent. So I think that, it's a special talent to be successful at it. I mean, there's a lot of people that are DJs. Mm-hmm. There's a whole lot of people that are, that have done it for a long time that are DJs, but they're not really, I wouldn't say that they were really at the top of their game all the time. So I was the same way, man. When I DJ'd, I had peaks and valleys, and I had, a year where I was great and 2 years where I sucked. And, in my mind, just because you get burnt out and you don't want to put the effort in that don't have the same motivation or whatever it is, but that, I think that's the hard part between remaining a good DJ whether you have been or not is probably harder than then the whole step of being a good DJ is probably remaining a good DJ. That's probably harder, I would say.
Now, see, that's the hard question, is when a DJ asks the question, what makes a damn good DJ? There's a lot to what we think makes a damn good DJ, way more than the other groups we talked about. And that, you know, staying fresh is definitely one of them.
Yeah. And not getting burnt out, man. I mean, it's hard. We're saying basically the same shit, regardless of how you say it. You're saying the same thing over and over and over again. How many times a night, for how many years, for how many cycles, or how many stage rotations? And it's the same shit. You can only say it so many ways. There's only so many ways you can say, tip the girl, look at her tits. What else are you going to, I mean, other
I'm
than
starting to
just
do it in
coming
other
right out and saying
languages.
it.
I'm practicing other languages now.
Google Translate.
Yes, I'm trying out different languages to say the same lines I've been saying for years in English. I get a decent response. They don't know what I'm saying half the time, but they move.
I knew a DJ named Matt Oster. I worked with him in Savannah, Georgia. I worked with him in Las Vegas, a couple different places. And when just picked up. A little crazy. So, anyways, he used to say, he's from Orlando originally, and he would say in Spanish, please keep your arms and legs inside the vehicle till the ride comes to a complete stop. In the middle of the night, he would just pop that off, and everybody in there would just stop and like, what the hell is this guy talking about? But it was funnier than hell when you said it. So it's just breaks up the monotony. It's, you know, like you said, throw something in there that gets their attention, because a lot of them aren't paying attention to you. They're blocking you out. You are that subliminal message as the DJ. So if you want to get their attention, you've got to get their attention. You know, if you're trying to sell something, throw one of those in there where they're listening, and then they're going to listen for a little bit after that. When you become, Bueller, they're going to block out everything you're saying.
Mm-hmm. So we've talked about what makes a good DJ in three different groups: eyes, the manager, the entertainer, and the crowd. So now, how do we put this all together? How does a DJ, and I think Dane already started on this a little bit, how does a DJ please all three? Jeb?
and there's the crux of what makes a good DJ and doesn't. The ability to balance all of that.
What makes a successful relationship? How can you succeed? Same fucking difference, man. That's a question that's for the ages, I'm sure.
Well, I've discovered a lot of the job can be rolled up in the fact that I'm basically an attitude motivator. And that's the one way you can encompass all three of those, is if you're constantly trying to project a positive attitude on no matter what crises or situation or negativity comes along your way, you can keep the customer happy, the entertainer happy, and the owner and the manager fairly happy. You know,
there are very few clubs that are going to put together the Glenn Miller formula that makes that work, or the John Bell, or the DJ Platypus, or any of those. You're not going to find that perfect storm very often, where those people stay at that club and work there for that long a time with, you know, the longevity and stuff like that. You're not going to find it very often. When it happens, it's a beautiful fucking thing, but it doesn't happen very often, you know. But those are three examples right there of where it did work. But how does it work? Ask them. You know, because I don't know. You know, I mean, I really don't.
Well, let's talk about the DJ talking a little bit, and how much a DJ should talk or how little he should talk. And Dane, you started to talk about this earlier. You've worked in Vegas, you've worked all over the place, and I'm sure every market that you've been at, this answer is going to be a little different. So give me the differences and how you determine what the difference is.
It's the room. A lot of places, like in Vegas, they don't really, other than the girl calling the girl to stage, which takes usually about an hour each song to get them to, seems like anyways, to get them to show up to stage. So you're calling their names frequently, but they want, what are you selling? They want bottles. They want liquor. They want, you know, sell. Otherwise, shut up. Don't interrupt anything. Don't ever bring the music down, because it loses the momentum in the room because of the music playing. Similar to some of the places in Florida, but when you're at, and say, go to Monroe's in West Palm, you've got Jimmy, who talks a lot, but very successful that at what he does, because of what he says and because of his delivery and because of his humor. It makes him a great MC. one of the best I've ever seen, because he knows how to read that room, and he has them in the palm of his hand. So I was in the same room as him, and I couldn't talk as much as he did. So, I mean, I don't even think that the market dictates so much as the person that's on the mic, man, because I couldn't say half the shit he said, for sure, because somebody would have come up there and beat my ass, but he says it, and he has such a delivery and such a humor behind it that everybody loves it. And it's funny as hell. I mean, I've worked with him, and I stood next to him doing lights and laughed my ass off the entire night because it was just funny. But then you've got other people that it sounds hateful. It sounds mean. It sounds, you know what I mean? It doesn't come across the same way. So I don't know, man. I think there's definitely too much talking, but I think that not enough is probably more damaging most of the time, because you're not getting that product out there.
Jarrell.
Well, it depends on the situation. My particular situation, you don't have a lot of time to talk. You have a certain amount of information that you're trying to get out there in a limited amount of time in between 3-minute songs. The more you talk, the more you've taken away from someone on stage. So it's girl up, girl down, stand by. Girl up, girl down, stand by. Take a whole pause, talk about everything, then go.
Content is very important when you speak.
Yeah, like make sure you got 15 seconds, use it to your best ability. And then any kind of banter, I do banter around a lot. I'm on the floor, and I'm in a very loud, younger vocal room. I just make sure that the entire room's in on every joke. If somebody says something to me and I want to respond, I repeat back what that person said to me in story context, and then give my response. So the whole room's in on the joke, rather than just responding to the guy randomly yelling in the corner like a lunatic.
Similar to a radio DJ, more so, because you have to explain it so the whole room or the whole audience hears it. And
you got to do that quick. Make sure that's the time you want to use. It's going to get the room involved and not piss the girl off on stage. So it's a timing thing.
Well, see, this is cool because I think, especially what Dane said. You talk about Jimmy Boucher down at Monroe's. Here's my take on this. I've worked a lot of smaller clubs, but for the most part, 2 major clubs in Dayton, Ohio, complete opposite clubs. I think when you talk about Jimmy Boucher, he's in a DJ booth where everybody can see him. He's right there, right in front of the stage, and you can see him. Jeb, you're on the floor up there at Pony 2. You're walking in front of the stage yourself. When you are in front of them and they can see you, you can talk more. When you're up in a corner and hidden away and nobody can ever see your face, I think those are the type places that you need to shut up and let it do it. And here's a prime example. When I first started at Diamonds Cabaret, the booth originally was way up in the corner. I worked there for what was it, 13 years? Yeah, something like that. And most people didn't even know what I looked like. So that was the type of club where we ran the rotation, the DJ's main job, with the exception of when we did a man on stage, a birthday, bachelor, something like that, we ran to it. Then I left there and I went to the Harem. Now the Harem, the DJ booth is up on a balcony and it looks down. And it really freaked me out when I went there at first, because I would say something and people would look up at me. It's like, God, they're actually looking at me. It was almost a little intimidating. But in that particular club, I had to be more of a show. And I'm trying to think of how to politely say this. The girls at that club, there were some that were maybe a biscuit shy of 300 pounds. So I had to be more of the entertainment because they weren't. Now I'm back at Diamonds Cabaret where the girls are all 9s and 10s, and they do the show, so I don't need to talk as much. So I think that's going to be really the way I would explain it. And like you said, in Vegas, most of the time you can't even see the DJ in the clubs that I've been at. And so would you agree with that?
Yeah, I totally agree with that.
Yeah, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
I think, in Vegas, it was definitely less talking was better for sure. More music, less talking.
When you're under the stairs, you don't get a choice.
Absolutely. Or in the tree house, one of the two, right?
Yeah, I've seen those.
Bird's nest.
So I want to ask another DJ question of you two, because you're both have been in management. the DJ being a disciplinarian. Now, this is something I see in our Panda group where DJs say, "Well, this girl did that, so I did this to her. She's always late for stage, so I did this. To play her this shit song, or I said this over the microphone." Now, my own opinion is the DJ should not have to be the disciplinarian. That should be the manager's job. The DJ's job is to work getting the girls up there, etc. But I mean, so if you do have a situation with we're all in more professional run clubs. So I want you to think that you're in a shithole club for a second, where your manager's never on the floor. I've been in these clubs before. Manager's never on the floor, owner's never around, girl doesn't show up. What does the DJ do? How should he be handling this? Or is disciplining them from the microphone the right thing? Now I'm talking from a shithole club, not a nice club.
I don't think it's ever the right thing. I think that the DJ, anyone that's working from a tipped employee mentality should never be a disciplinarian, because then they're screwing themselves. I mean, why would you do that? It's not their responsibility when it comes down to it, unless that is put on them by the manager to enforce those rules. That should be on the manager to do that, not on the DJ. The DJ can communicate. The DJ can communicate that to the manager. This is what's going on. This is who's missing stage. Here's the list tonight of all the girls that missed stage. But when it comes down to it, why the hell should we be the one that's a disciplinarian and take all the heat for being an asshole and then not get tipped on top of it? That's ridiculous.
Well, it depends. Like he's talking about a club with absolutely no management whatsoever, and even even in a well-run club, if something goes wrong on stage or in rotation, the first thing everyone does is look at the DJ, because you're the air traffic controller. Why the plane
I think
crash?
obviously you try to get the girl to stage, but when it comes down to it, being a disciplinarian means you're going to try to enforce some sort of punishment for not going to stage, or some repercussion to that. And I don't think that should fall on the DJ. I think that definitely should not fall on the DJ.
There's a trick to it. And that's the level. I'll give away a professional tip. If you can find a way to make all of them responsible for each other's actions, a little trick that managers and DJs sometimes use is you can't leave stage one to go down to the floor or to the next stage until the next entertainer is there. Well, we're making them responsible to each other for having to wait.
So they're mad at the next girl, and like I said, don't, to the detriment of yourself. Just do what you can do to get people to show up, obviously, but don't bite yourself in the ass when you're getting your money's dictated by what they're tipping you. That kind of puts you in a bad spot. Now, not all clubs are like that,
No.
So
I mean, there's been times where I've literally screamed my head off on a microphone before and pulled a Prince moment, but it all depends on the club, the situation, the environment. It all depends on the show.
We've all done it. He was asking if it was right.
Yeah.
It happened.
I haven't done
Not
it.
as I do.
I just have to say, if you can find a way to make them all self-accountable for whatever you're trying to pull off, and keep everything on the same, we always try to be fair anyway, keep it on the group level and make them responsible towards each other for the punishment. It's easier than trying, I've been pissed off at an entertainer and I'm like, man, I'm going to get this girl. She gets up on stage, I cue it up, I'm busting out the chicken dance. And she pulls off the chicken dance. And 50 guys rush the stage, and it's one of the best sets of the night.
Always bite you in the ass.
And I'm like, all right. My lesson learned, never trying that trick again.
It is about building that culture, like you're saying, though. It's you got to get them used to taking care of each other on all levels, on their appearance, on showing up to coming in more to work, on being a better team player, on all those things. You've got to get them involved in, and that starts from the management and the DJs, and but the managers have to train the DJs, and down it trickles down to everybody else. So I think it definitely starts at the top.
Well, I'm going to give you guys my trick. And this is how I handle all this stuff. Since Jeb's revealing some of his secrets, the wrong way and the right way to talk to your manager about entertainers doing whatever, always late for stage or always this. Never go up to your manager and say, this girl did this, she's always doing this, and just kind of in a complaining way, because then you come across as a whiner. Best way to do this is you walk up to your manager and go, listen, got a little situation here. And this seems to be happening over and over again. So I wanted to ask you your opinion, how you feel I should deal with this. So-and-so is always late for stage. She's always doing this. She's always, yelling at the DJ from the stage about her music and stuff. And I just wasn't really sure how you would want me to handle that. So, and then usually the manager will say, well, I'll talk to her about it. But don't come across whining and bitching to your manager, because then you're going to come across as a diva, and then you're going to get replaced by or those computer programs.
That show's coming.
Yeah. So anyway, we're at about the 25-minute mark, which is usually about where we wrap this up. Any final thoughts on DJ professionalism? Either one of you?
Well,
I think come watch Jeb work. If you got any questions.
Yeah. Well, I'll show you how to run an automated system really well.
Yeah. Okay. So speaking of automated systems, I'm going to go there. Next week, we really don't have a show topic picked yet. So do you want to tackle the show club VIP cover jock situation?
Sure. Why not?
Do it next week?
Sure.
Might as well sooner. Let's do it before Expo so we can stir up all kinds of shit.
Oh my God, they're going to throw such kind of fits. Both sides. It doesn't matter. From the people that create the software are going to be screaming at us to the DJs. Yeah. It doesn't matter. Everyone.
I'm not a fan. I'll tell you that right now. I'm not going to be kind to either company. But then again, we'll talk about why companies are switching to it. So maybe we can, talk about things like that. So let's make that next week's topic.
I guarantee you'll watch that one.
Yeah, right. Sign up for that one.
Yeah, so we'll do that.
Subscription based, that one.
Next week on Strip Club Video and Network News. You like my background?
I really think Ohio's gone north.
Yeah, well, normally I'm in front of it, so you don't see it. So I'll move it down by next week.
Whoa, 420 just happened again.
Focus, so yeah,
right.
It's trying to find
420.
me up. It's trying to find me up in Canada is what it's doing. Okay, Strip Club Video next week. Check it out. We'll do a good one. Thanks, guys.
Later.